let's kick off today's session. With cyber attacks on education increasing, now is the time to protect your users and your networks from costly threats that lead to lost learning and data breaches. My name is Webb and I'm the Education Product Marketing Manager here at Jamf, and I'm super excited to be taking you through this session today. In today's session, we're going to dive into these four main sections and give you some insight into how Jamf put the spotlight on Apple, all while maintaining minimal impact to the device and the end user experience, whether it's staff or students. So we're going to look at why cybersecurity threats are targeting education. We'll then also dive into steps to protect your environment for cyber attacks before we move on to communicating those risks to your end users. And then we'll finish up with how you can deal with unmanned devices to reduce that risk to your institution. So let's start with a quick Jamf overview. Here at Jamf, we help organizations succeed with Apple. And for education, that means that we have an Apple Enterprise Management Platform with a specific mission for education, and that's to empower student success. And in order to support student success, we make sure that we optimize our Apple Enterprise Management Platform for education. We supercharge those education workflows to empower learner choice, and we make sure that we strengthen key partnerships to deliver a complete Apple experience. A major benefit of choosing Jamf for our exclusive focus on Apple is our history of and commitment to something we call same-day support. Same-day support means less work for you, faster access to new Apple features for your staff, teachers and students, and better control for your admins. For 9 years running, Jamf has delivered support for new Apple operating systems, macOS, iPadOS, iOS, and tvOS, the day they are released. If your students are craving that hot new feature from Apple, it is easy to kick off a mass operating system upgrade across your entire Apple fleet. On the flip side, if you want to pause the availability of a new operating system, you can delay operating system upgrades for up to 90 days, so your team can take the time to test and validate before making the OS available to everyone. Jamf offers the most comprehensive portfolio of Apple management products in the market. Our AEM platform, optimized for education, helps schools, IT, and educators spend less time managing technology and more time investing in their classrooms. From small deployments in single schools to large-scale school districts with thousands of Apple devices, we have you covered. Jamf helps more than 50,000 organizations manage 20 million plus Apple devices and counting. When education organizations need the world leader in Apple management, they come to Jamf. The world's largest K-12, primary and secondary schools, and the best universities around the globe choose Jamf for Apple management. So let's dive into our first bucket. Why are cybersecurity threats targeting education? The first reason is lack of security awareness and training. For many teachers, there isn't enough time in the day, and teachers and staff often have to juggle their time for professional staff and instructional training. IT staff are stretched thinly across the schools, and so that's supporting everyone and their devices. And then, of course, you've got the students. With so many schools now implementing one-to-one device programs, younger students are often using a device as well. And of course, no one can expect them to practice good cyber hygiene at such a young age. All of this makes training users to be security conscious extremely challenging. And across the world, schools are scrambling to protect themselves from cyber attacks, coming in the form of phishing emails, malware, and data breaches. Then you've got the IT budget constraints. And according to the Consortium for School Networking, COSN, the top barrier for 6 out of the last 7 years is budget constraints. While all companies and organizations have budgets they must comply with, K-12 budgets are far more constrained than the private sector. The next one is legacy infrastructure. And again, due to budget constraints, many school systems lack the latest technology. It's not uncommon to find classroom devices running outdated operating systems or software that is no longer supported at all. These devices then go unpatched when vulnerabilities are discovered. Servers and outdated network devices such as routers and firewalls are often plagued with obsolete security protocols that offer minimal, if not any protection at all. Shadow IT is a common problem for all organisations due to the consumerism of IT. It is not uncommon for school administrators or teachers to make technology purchases without the consent or even the knowledge of the school's technology department. In these cases, equipment and software are purchased with little or no regard to cybersecurity. Some teachers even bring in their own personal technology equipment, such as printers, devices, and Wi-Fi hotspots. Because these devices are not enterprise ready, they often lack the security standards required for networks that are actively targeted by cybercriminals. Naturally, it's impossible for internal technology staff to protect what they don't know. And the increased number of cybersecurity attacks has also come at a time when schools have had to quickly and rapidly switch to remote learning. Now, unfortunately, the need was to just get devices into the hands of learners and also to staff in order to be able to continue their education and to teach. But that's come at a cost because those systems weren't set up for remote learning. They wasn't able to have the right security protocols in place, the protection they needed. And often those devices weren't even managed. They were just a device connected to the internet into the hands of a learner in order for them to be able to access their learning. So these cyber attacks have happened globally. You only have to look at the media to see the number that are being published about what's happening across the globe. Now, this targets both K-12 and higher ed. There's huge ransomware demands being put on schools, asking for money to release that data back to them or to de-encrypt the data that they've sort of taken from the schools. So this is happening globally. It's not just an area that's being targeted. This is happening all over the globe, all education establishments. So here we have a number of figures that have been pulled together from a report which actually spans all of the ransomware attacks from January 2018 through to June 2021 by Compritech in a report that actually highlights US only figures. So the top one up there on the left hand side is a single ransom request to a school of 40 million US dollars. That's huge. Imagine the amount of money that is to a school that has a limited budget. That is a huge sum that they just don't have. And that's actually also going into affecting 1,387 days of the school being closed due to ransomware attacks. Now, that's a huge number of days that children are out of school, staff can't work properly because of a ransomware attack has meant the school has had to shut. Zero amount of time due to learning because their systems are not up. That's a huge amount of days that have been lost in education, that teaching and learning that's so important to our future generations. And then if we look at the number of actual individual schools and colleges affected in the US during that period, 3,880. That's a huge number of schools affected by a ransomware attack, which means that they've had to stop what they're doing and try and resolve the situation or completely close until it's actually back up and running and safe for students and staff to continue in their education. And that's affected over 3.4 million students. That is in the US alone, these figures here. Imagine what that would be if we took what's happening across the rest of the world. The impact on education is absolutely huge, and that's affecting our next generation of learners because of these ransomware attacks that are actually forcing them to not be able to come into school, not being able to get into the classroom, or not being able to access the systems that they rely on in order to access teaching and learning resources. So we've just seen some figures from the US, but let's take a look here at the quote from the National Cybersecurity Centre in the UK. And these type of cybersecurity attacks, those ransomware attacks, they're leading to the loss of students' coursework, financial records, but also even data relating to COVID testing. And that's a huge impact to schools. They're being held to ransom, saying that this data will be released onto the internet for everyone to see unless they pay a huge sum in order to get it back. So let's take a look at some steps that you can take to protect your environment from cyber attacks. And a great resource is the K-12 6 Cybersecurity Standards, which offers guidance on relative costs of implementing protections in terms of financial, technical complexity, and also the IT staff time. So let's go through some of those now. So the first step in the guidance is to inspect network traffic to and from the internet. and that calls out filtering out malware. Now, malware's initial point of entry onto a school's device is often via a web page visit to a malicious website, and that's sometimes spurred by a phishing email. The next one is to test against email scams. And in recent years, many schools have fallen prey to an email compromise, with cybercriminals leveraging fake invoices, costing the victims millions of dollars. It's also worth making sure that you block malicious documents, and embedding a malicious macro into an Office Suite file or a document, even a resume that you might get through as a PDF. Sometimes it is referred to as a malicious document or a maldoc, and it's a popular tactic used by criminals to bypass antivirus software and gain unauthorized, persistent access to sensitive school data and IT systems. And these maldocs may be delivered via email, often in the forms of a social engineering attack, or made available for download from compromised websites. A properly configured and protective measure prevents educators, staff, and students from inadvertently opening and executing malicious macros in popular Office Suite applications, have led to ransom and identity theft in K-12 settings. It's also worth limiting those exposed services as well. So internet exposed services such as remote desktop, RDP, provide a method for attackers to reach inside a school's network to create disruption and steal data. And in some cases, these services can be vulnerable to attack simply by being turned on. The next step in the guidance is to protect the identities of students, teachers, and staff, and that starts with protecting user logins. Having a strong option to protect users' identities, such as multi-factor authentication, is a great step into doing that. And that often comes with having either a security token, authentication app, or using some of the biometric verification methods, such as Face ID, as well as sort of your fingerprint recognition as well on an Apple device. It's also worth improving password management. Logging into sort of a personal device at home, do you get a prompt to verify via an access code, via a text message or authentication app? Passwords remain the primary means of providing students and staff access to the school's IT systems and to ensure confidentiality of sensitive data. But unfortunately, users frequently reuse and share passwords even when they've been compromised. And unencrypted passwords can often be found in scripts used by IT staff and in files on district servers and devices as well. In a response to remote learning, obviously the use of online video conferencing systems has also been widely leveraged to provide remote classroom experiences for students. But sometimes that's left unsecured and publicly accessible, and remote classrooms have been widely exploited. So you need to make sure that you test your vulnerability for your online classroom invasions. It's worth getting a partner, a fellow colleague to test if someone outside of your school, your district, or your multi-academy trust, however you're set up, that they can't get into a classroom. Do they need to be able to be authorized before they let in, or can they just openly come in and start accessing your online classes without any need to be approved to join the class? The next step also is to make sure you perform regular maintenance. Now, developers of hardware and software often release updates to their tools in the form of patches, which may fix unknown bugs. It also enhances functionality and fix known security vulnerabilities. For some of the most critical IT systems, security updates are released on a regular basis. Timely installation of these updates prevents malicious actors from exploiting known vulnerabilities. The regular backup of critical data systems and applications has been a staple of IT operations rigidity. Given the rise of ransomware attacks targeting school districts, large multi-academy trusts, or even principalities, the need for backups is essential. Now, backups that cannot be altered or changed, including by malicious software, has become essential. And then we move on to the data side of things. Now, schools are entrusted with collecting and managing sensitive data about students, families, staff, and operations in compliance with either federal, state, or local laws. And as such, school leaders are required a responsible understanding of data privacy laws to protect the members of their school community. So in doing so, schools should seek to minimize the risk associated with data breaches, leaks, by proactively archiving, deleting sensitive data on a regular basis. And the next step in the guidance is to ensure you safeguard student, teacher, and staff devices. Now, the top one there is restrict admin access. Now, attack pathways into school districts is often leveraged via admin rights on a teacher or staff device. But restricting those does slow the actor's ability to install malware, steal passwords, and pivot their activities onto other school-owned devices. But there needs to be a balance. If you completely lock down a device, a user will then look at other means in order to access the work or the productivity workflows that they need. So they may use a personal device that you're then unaware of. So there needs to be a balance, and we think that Mac is a great device that actually has that balance for that end user experience, but also that security and protection that IT admins would want. Now, we'll come on to that in a bit, but let's talk about endpoint protection, because endpoint protection protects student and staff devices from viruses and malware. And solutions detect threats that may have not been previously blocked by older antivirus products. But it's your endpoint protection that is really going to stop those threats before they come in. But is it suitable for all devices? Now, Windows is very much something that's been in education for so often. The IT teams are aware of all the endpoint protection for the Windows devices, but how are you ensuring that your Mac fleet is secure? If you have Macs in your school environment, we need to sort of dig a little deeper into endpoint protection for Mac to make sure that you've got a broad security across all your range of devices. So no device is exempt when it comes to attackers looking to breach a school. And endpoint security is absolutely crucial. Endpoint security has had a long history on Windows. The internals of a Windows machine has been well understood and relatively unchanged. And security teams know the tools available to them to interpret the results. But after hearing from our many customers that use Jamf to manage their Apple endpoints, they needed a security solution that didn't break their Mac. It keeps them up to date with each macOS update release and provides proper visibility into the unique events that occur only on Macs and actually focuses on detecting attacks on Mac. A purpose-built Mac endpoint security solution. So I'd like to introduce Jamf Protect. And Jamf Protect is the cornerstone to helping schools and organizations secure Macs. It focuses on three big areas, starting with antivirus. It prevents macOS malware and detects Mac-specific threats. It monitors compliance of macOS with minimal impact to end users, and responds to security incidents on macOS. The impact to Mac is by far the most common complaint we hear from customers running cross-platform endpoint security solutions. And it's gotten to the point where we've heard more developers at software vendors forcibly removing even simple antivirus tools from their Macs because of its massively impacted productivity. In the Windows world, security vendors have spent large amounts of resources to reduce the impact of their solutions to devices. And since they don't focus on Macs, their solutions often remind you that antivirus tools of the 90s that are slow and cumbersome. Now, Jamf Protect is built on top of native macOS frameworks and optimized to be non-intrusive to end users. We routinely hear from customers that end users stop complaining about their security tools and just become more productive. One of the big wins is that our approach is that our CPU utilization is minimal and doesn't even generally interfere with common application or file activity. And as a result, most end users never even notice Jamf Protect until something bad happens. And one more big value of building for Macs, and only for Macs, is that we pride ourselves in supporting the latest Mac OS version on the day of its release. At the start of this presentation, I called that out, that same day support. Now, end users love to run the latest software that Apple releases. Jamf will support it immediately, so you don't have to push out messaging to people that they need to hold off from updating for the next 3 months. But if you want to do that, you can, but there's no need to do that because we can protect it from day one. So here's some common misconceptions that we often hear, and one of them is that you should approach Mac security in the same way you would Windows security. Absolutely false. We've just shown that in the previous slides, how that you need to have a specific endpoint security solution for Mac. Macs can't get malware. Yes, they can. They're open to, like any other device on your network, they're open to attacks. And we've seen that, which is why we've actually produced Jamf Protect. Deploying a security solution is difficult. It's absolutely not. We've made it super easy to deploy a security solution, especially for your Mac fleet, to make sure that it's in line with the rest of your devices that you'll have in your school or district. So Jamf Protect is best used with our Apple Enterprise Management Platform optimized for education. And that would be Jamf School or Jamf Pro and the value-added workflow apps of Jamf Teacher, Jamf Student, and Jamf Parent. This ensures your whole community has the tools they need to empower student success. So you can manage, protect, and connect your users in order to succeed with Apple. So let's look at how we reduce the white noise and communicate cyber threat risks to our end users. So end user training is vital. Schools need to include cybersecurity awareness training as part of their staff development program. But rather than providing a one-off or annual training session, training really needs to be conducted regularly to keep staff up to speed on the latest threats. But doing nothing to improve cybersecurity in schools now is simply not an option. So establish a communication strategy. How are you going to make sure that staff are aware of the threats, the latest threats that are being targeted at schools? It could be a simple email. It could be a regular touch point that you have each week, just to let them aware of a latest news article that's come out, or even tell the story that a press has released about a school that's been subject to a ransomware attack. Focused training sessions and ongoing training sessions are vital, and there's so many different resources out there that we'll come onto that can really help with that now, from government organisations. It's also good to establish best practice and a great working environment for all. So making sure that people are aware of what they're doing, they are locking their, changing their passwords regularly, making sure that everyone establishes good practice and promotes that in their environment. There's some great resources out there. Here's one that I've pulled from the National Cybersecurity Centre that you can just download and start to use with your staff. It's all there for you. It's got some scripts. There's even some courses that staff can take in their own time. But it's really, really helpful to have a pack like this that's really going to help you start communicating this message and training your staff in order to be cyber secure. And there's some great resources out there that are really localized as well. So here's one that I've grabbed from North South Wales in Australia. A great program that's cybersecurity and awareness for both primary and secondary years. Staff can go through that. There's some fantastic resources out there to really help you train your staff. Move on to dealing with unmanned devices to reduce risk. So if we look at the reaction in which schools have had to take during the school closures, they've often gone and used any device that they can get their hands on. It might be a set of iPads that they've given out to students to take home to be able to learn. They may have been able to just use personal devices, but often this quick flip to remote learning has meant that there hasn't been management in place, and there's often devices that are being used to access school systems without the understanding of them being managed or protected, which often has such a high risk to schools. Now, one of these is that often gets overlooked is I've been into a number of schools and I see iPads that are still being used on a personal level, either by an IT person or a teacher going around signing into each individual device, or Macs that are completely off the network, no access to management solutions or any apps, just purely just used as sort of a personal device, just connecting to the school internet. Now, there's such a better way of doing that. So let's look at some of the steps that Apple have taken in order to make sure that your Mac and iPad devices, as well as Apple TVs, can be managed in a coherent way to meet the rest of your fleet across your school. The first step in making sure that your Apple fleet is actually going to be managed correctly is to set up Apple School Manager. Now, Apple School Manager is a simple web-based portal primarily for IT administrators to manage people, devices, and content all from one place. And when you're using the full range of Apple services, your staff and students will need Apple IDs. And using Apple School Manager, you can quickly create accounts to give students access to learning content while meeting the privacy needs of the school. You can also manage your device suppliers. So if you're buying from an authorized Apple reseller, those devices will automatically appear in your Apple School Manager instance. And from there, you can actually put them into a mobile device management server. And that's where you can then start pushing out apps and actually having much more control over your fleet of Apple devices. You can also link to data sources. So there is direct integration for some SIS systems, such as PowerSchool, but you can also link up via SFPT. So you can pull in data from your other MIS system if it's not supported. So for example, PowerSchool has got direct integration, but if you're in the UK and using something like Arbor or Sims, you can still get data into Apple School Manager to create your users from your classes and from your management information systems, but it needs to have third-party access, but it's definitely possible. And that helps you create those managed Apple IDs. And from those managed Apple IDs, you can configure classes, you can have different locations. So this could be actually one Apple School Manager instance for a whole school district or a number of different schools working together. This is where you can share content. So you can buy apps in this one place and actually move the tokens of those apps to different sort of locations. So you can pull them back from one school, put them into another, so you don't have to buy more than you need to. But also you can buy in bulk. So if you're going to buy more than 20 app licenses, you start to get a discount, and that can be up to 50%. So it can really be cost effective and time saving to use Apple School Manager and have your Apple devices, both Mac and iPad, Apple TV, in Apple School Manager as a starting point. If we let's look at that Apple School Manager instance set up, it's about connecting to that MDM service that's really going to excel the Apple experience for both IT and those end users. So let's move on to what that looks like with Jamf School. Now, Jamf School is where all of your school Apple devices will be configured. From Wi-Fi to apps, it saves time for IT and allows them to give you the experience of Apple that you expect. Within Jamf School, there's this app specifically designed for teachers, which is available as an iOS or Mac application, and we call it Jamf Teacher. It takes some of that iPad management ability the IT team has using Jamf School and provides it to teachers in their very own app. The teacher is then able to effectively manage an iPad class themselves in real time with workflows that allow you to strip away the technology and focus on the teaching, and without needing to bug IT or log a ticket. And by using Jamf, a school's IT administrator can enable a set of powerful apps. The Jamf Teacher app gives you the tools to manage that class and keep students focused on their education. With the Jamf School Teacher app, you can instantly restrict websites, apps, the camera, and much more. And the great thing about this is it not only just works in the classroom, this works remotely across the Wi-Fi as well. So students can be at home and teachers can still have that simple management and teaching and learning workflows that they want to offer to students no matter where they are. That actually we need to have a really strong ongoing professional development program for teachers, not only for cybersecurity, but just in the tools that we are giving them. So we have created a specific platform dedicated to training of that Jamf Teacher app to help not only IT teams, but also teachers get embraced with the tools that we're offering through Jamf, and that's Jamf Educator. And you can really start your journey to empower student success with Jamf in this online platform that simulates the teacher app and how it has an impact on education in the classroom and at home. So you can sign up for Jamf Educator. You can take the online professional learning journey by simply going to educator.jamf.com, sign up, go through the program. It goes into various different topics around the Jamf Teacher app and how it can be used in the classroom. And then once you take that final step of unpacking what you've learned, you become a Jamf educator and you get a specific badge that you can actually promote on your social media platforms, and also share with your education community as well. So it's a great resource. Please go and join, become part of this fantastic community of people that are using the Jamf tools to really enhance education and the use of Apple technology across their teaching and learning workflows. So we have teachers covered with the Jamf Teacher app and also Jamf Educator in order to make sure they are up to speed in how that app can be used in the classroom and to support learning at home. But let's have a look at why we've also created an app for parents as well. Now, parents are a key stakeholder in the school community. They help empower student success. They often sometimes pay towards an Apple issued device that goes home for the learning. So we need to make sure that they have also got the tools they need as well. So we also have Jamf Parent, which enables parents to download an app on their own iOS device or even their Android phone to make sure that there's some equity there, so that a school that's issuing iPad devices to go home as part of their education offering, parents can be involved to help with some management tools to really help with that device and how it's used to enhance teaching and learning, and that children are safe and secure while at home in their own environments. So the Jamf Parent app empowers parents and focuses learning with restrictions on both browsers and apps, so they can actually apply them to their child's device while they're at home. You can remove the camera, you can actually set the number of apps that are going to be available or the types of apps that are going to be available for a set period of time. You can set location notifications, so even if they get picked up by grandma after school one day a week, you can have it set on the Jamf Parent app that if they arrive at grandma's house in this facility, that it's going to remove any games that are on their devices. It could even remove Safari from their school issued iPad, so that they can focus on the learning that they need to take place of that homework that's set by the school. You might only let them have Shobi or Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams during that period of time until they can then get picked up from yourself, and then you can give them a bit more freedom once they're home. But there's so many different restrictions that you can set to really make sure that your child's safe. You can remove the camera, as I said before. You can put different workflows in place to make sure that they are focused on their learning. So check out the Jamf Teacher app. It's part of Jamf's offering of our Apple Enterprise Management solution, specifically for education, that value-added workflow through those apps that we really want to make sure come through to give you the tools you need to empower student success. So what does this path to success look like? Well, we've looked at a number of different things throughout this session. It's firstly, evaluate your current infrastructure and your practices that you have in place, but let's also make sure that you sign up for those tools that you need to really enhance what your Apple fleet is doing. Let's get started with Jamf. Go and check out the Jamf Educator platform. Reach out to us and see how you can start to leverage Jamf School to really create an MDM and security profile that's really going to make sure that your entire fleet of devices have got the same security and privacy that you expect. Enroll those devices. Don't let any devices that you've got, those sets of iPads, those Macs, go unmanaged. Make sure that you enroll them into Jamf, get them into Apple School Manager, so you can really start to make sure that they are secure and protecting you from any threats or cyber attacks that you might be opening yourself up to if they're not managed correctly. Make full use of those education apps. Those workflows are there to not only enhance the experience that you're going to get with Apple technologies, it's going to embrace the whole community. Now, if you've got teachers with tools on there that can actually help with the use of Apple technologies in the classroom by increasing that workflow, making sure that students are focused, that's only going to save time for IT. It's going to mean that you can carry on doing those things that you need to do, that's going to take your focus away by you having to go and install apps or go and help with different workflows in the classroom on a different set of devices that you're used to. So make sure that you really push out those apps for both your teachers and your parents to really make sure that you save yourself time, get the most from your Jamf investment, and really enhance that whole experience that you're going to get with your Apple technology. And really make sure that you lean on those free platforms that we have, such as the Jamf Nation community, the Jamf Educator community, and those resources that we shared earlier about that ongoing professional development platform, making sure that the tools that you're giving to teachers are also supported with the training as well, because it's just another thing for a teacher to do, to have another tool, another workflow. So make sure that that professional development is there to support them. And all of this really makes sure that we are keeping systems secure and online to ensure that students can learn. We've seen the impact of cyber attacks and how much learning is lost, how much money it costs for schools to get back up and running. So making sure that these steps are taken and put into place is a great start to making sure that you can really empower student success. And building on that, we've also sort of talked a lot about sort of content filtering, and we are actually launching our own Jamf Safe Internet content filtering solution, which leverages Jamf's data policy and features from Jamf Threat Defense functionality. So customers can soon enjoy a complete purpose-built custom filtering solution for education that ensures the right security measures are in place without sacrificing the Apple experience. This means schools can enforce acceptable use policies through Jamf Safe Internet and configure and deploy directly to devices. And this coming soon feature security policies combine best-in-class threat defense and content filtering solutions that block inappropriate content and malicious attacks so students can learn safely anywhere. Jamf Safe Internet is intended for delivery early next year and will not only support a full range of languages, but a full range of devices including Mac, iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows devices in the future. So please check that out. It's coming early 2022. Content filtering specifically for education. And when used with, let's recap on everything that we've covered in this session today. We've been through why cybersecurity threats are targeting education specifically. We also then dived into how you can protect your environment from cyber attacks, and then those key messaging that you need to give to staff to reduce that white noise to really help protect your school. And then finally, we finished up with how you should manage your devices and take full use of those management solutions from Jamf and Apple to make sure that your Apple and Mac fleet, your iPads and Macs, are really in the same level of secure and protection that you require across all of your fleet in your school or district. So any additional resources that I want to leave you with as we sort of round up this webinar is we also have a number of third-party integrations. So third-party tools such as Active Directory, Single Sign-On, Cisco, ServiceNow, and we have our own API. So go and check those out. This is a great way of integrating your Windows environment into Jamf so that you've got that full seamless experience of your Apple devices. Even if you are not fully all in on Apple, we can really help you there with our third-party integrations. And check out the marketplace. This is a great tool and resource to help the Mac and Jamf platform be more useful to our customers. So it provides incremental value to you quickly, exposes tools that are created by our partners through our developer program. So go and check out what services that we've got available on our marketplace. There's some fantastic ones out there. Shobi, for example, is a great one for education in terms of teaching and learning, but there's some great tools there for IT admins to really bolt on to Jamf experience so that you can really utilize the whole experience from your current infrastructure right into how that's going to impact end users as well. And don't forget, I mentioned briefly earlier, just Jamf Nation. Jamf Nation is nothing without our customers, and it's a fantastic community. I mentioned briefly earlier, Jamf Nation, it's 100,000 members plus strong. It's our community of Apple-focused IT individuals, but we're also bolstering that with educators as well. So go and check out Jamf Nation, create a free account today, and join the discussion. Reach out to people. It's a community. They're always willing to help. So if you've got any questions about security, any of the products that you've seen mentioned in this webinar, this is a community where they're going to go and help you and answer any of the questions that you might have specifically as well. So create an account and join up now, not only for yourself as IT admins, but if you're any teachers looking to connect with other teachers, who may have responsibility for managing the Apple devices, go and sign up here and be part of this fantastic community of Apple enthusiasts. Remember, don't forget, Jamf Safe Internet launching early 2022. Keep an eye out for that. Reach out to us if you want some more information. But Jamf Safe Internet, that content filtering solution specifically for education, and when combined with the complete Jamf experience of the Jamf school managing those devices, Jamf parent, Jamf teacher, it's going to be a fantastic solution in order to protect you from those cybersecurity attacks, making sure that your students are safe online, making sure that you have got the protection that you need across your Apple ecosystem. And remember, Jamf Safe Internet is coming for not only iPad, iPhone and Mac, but also Android and Windows devices as well. So keep an eye out for that content filtering solution, Jamf Safe Internet. Talking about professional development, we've mentioned it through the Jamf Educator program, but we also run a number of sessions as well. Check out the Jamf Breakfast Club. This happens on the first Thursday of every month. It's set in the UK, so it's the UK time. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, but it's half an hour of bite-sized content, and we get different guests join us each month. We've had Apple Distinguished Educators, we've had some app companies as well. So jump on there, sign up, go and look for the Jamf Breakfast Club. Even if you can't catch it because it's not in your time zone, sign up for the session, and we often host them straight away on demand, so you can catch the what you've missed. So don't be put off by the time. Sign up. You can always catch the content, and we'll send it to you later on as well. It's fantastic. We've had some great speakers really talking about different topics that really help with the use of Apple technologies in the classroom. So check out the Jamf Breakfast Club. We've also got a number of sessions called the Jamf Sessions. These are fantastic, huge following here. We've had some fantastic ones that have taken part across the summer. These will be continuing, so check them out. Jamf Sessions, we've had some awesome speakers, very focused on both higher ed and K-12. We have a number of different Apple Distinguished Educators, Apple Distinguished Schools, IT admins, security experts, all from education, joining our fantastic Apple leadership executives, Em and Mike. So check those out. They're fantastic. Search for those Jamf sessions. If you've missed any, go back and look for those. They're on demand. You can sign up and see them now. Here's a link to some of those sessions that you might have missed. We've got some great guest speakers that really have made some fantastic sessions that really delve into different thought leadership aspects of Apple in education. So check out, there's a link there. You can go and see those sessions that have taken place before, and there'll be new sessions available soon. Thank you very much for listening. And if you want some more info, you can scan this QR code and it will take you to a Jamf information page where you can actually sign up for some of those products that we've actually spoken about today.